All right. Next, we are going to make the static pickups and thread them into our Leyden Jar or Leyden Jar caps. What you're going to need for this, you're going to need your 2 caps. You're going to need your pickup jig. You're going to need your thicker wire. It's the, what is it, 12 gauge wire. A decent amount of it. And you're probably going to want pliers. These players or these players. Players are definitely going to be helpful with this, and you're going to need wire strippers and wire cutters. So I'm probably going to try and use these, even though I like these pliers better, but these have the strippers and the cutters on them already. Okay, what we're going to do to start is I'm going to try and strip a decent amount of this wire. So let's see how long we actually need for this. I've got some measured out already. Looks like we need maybe 9 inches. So let's cut off 9 inches and make sure that we've got plenty. Here's 9. Let's cut it there. All right. And this is what I'm going to strip for the first bit. It's sometimes stripping you need the pliers to help pull. Sometimes if it's hard to get all the coating off at once, sometimes it's a little easier to go in bits and chunks. But this part of the wire is going to be unshielded. Something I'm noticing is once I cut through, I'll go up a gauge. So this, to cut this, I use the 12 and 14 one. Cuts through just fine, and then I'll go up a gauge to pull it out. That way it's digging in less to the wire itself. I'm going to get a little bit more off of this side, and then I'll start going with the other side, just so that there's less I have to pull. And yeah, you do have to pull kind of hard for this. You may notice yourself bending the wire as you're doing it. That's okay. I mean, don't aim for it, but I'll show you how we can fix that in a bit. We do want the wire to be straight when we're working on this, but you know that if you end up with a non-straight wire, we can make it a straight wire pretty easily with the pickup jig. There we go. And sometimes even having 2 sets of pliers might help with this, where I can grab on the pliers with this end. Actually, let's do that. These pliers have a little opening in them so that you can thread wire all the way through them. And I'll make pulling on this way easier. Oh my gosh, yeah, that makes such a difference. So if you've got 2 sets of pliers, go for it. Otherwise, you may end up bending the wire, and that's totally fine. Okay, I'm going to toss off this insulation. All right, and now let's start off by using our tool here. We're going to use, we need mirrored brush pickups. So there's the inset for the jig here is mirrored on either side, and we're going to have 1 of each. So what I'm going to do to start is, oh no, I accidentally bent it. There are holes in the jig that are roughly the size of this, and you can pull them through. I would use pliers to pull them through. This is the slightly larger one. This one is almost exactly the width of the wire, so it may not actually fit in here, but if it does, it will give you a much straighter, there'll be less smaller bends in it. And then for larger like bends like this, a bend like this probably isn't going to be fixed by pulling it through something like this, because it can just go around. But I have on the top longer tubes to get it through. And we'll get our wire in there. Use pliers to shove it down, and then pull it out the bottom. I really wish I was using my other pliers for this, and we'll see that our wire is much straighter now. So if you end up bending it a little bit, that's totally fine. If it ends up something like, let me show, so this one, it's straight, but it's got a lot of small bends in it. That should still work. It's just going to make it much harder to thread it into this. So the straighter the wire, the better. but the jig is probably not going to help with super small ones like this. You may have to very slowly but surely try and bend out the little bends, and they'll take forever, but it'll be satisfying work. All right, so our first bend here, again, it doesn't matter which side you're going to start on. I'm going to start on this side so that the sharp angle is on the left side of the jig. I'm going to start off by threading my wire across here on the bottom. So you'll see that maybe like 1.5 centimeters up from the bottom of the jig, there is a slot. This is the exact right length. So hold it in there and then bend the wire around here. You'll see that you've got a nice 90-degree angle, and then keep bending. Okay. And this will get you pretty close to the right shape for this. Notice it's still relatively tight in here to the edge. It pulled it a little bit, but that's okay. The remainder is hung off here. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread my wire through here. For this one, I'm going to thread the long side through the part that doesn't have the hole. You're going to do one of each, so depending on which one you do, it'll be fine. And I'm going to shove the top bit into here. Depending on how bent your wire is, this part might be a little tricky. It needs to be able to come out this hole as well. I find that it's easier to gently push from the bottom here. But if you start getting a lot of resistance, you may need to pull out your wire and make sure it's straighter. All right, I'm going to keep pushing this down until it's all the way up to the thing. If you push down too hard, you might break the cap, especially if you went in and changed the file so that the infill is a little weaker. But this is about what you'll end up with. And you can test to see if you're right by fitting the cap into this diagonal part. You'll see that there's a little notch cut in here for the edge here to fit in. What you're going to do from here, so make sure it's fit in all the way. The wire should be flush with the bottom of the jig. You're going to take your pliers, or fingers, but I recommend pliers because this is short enough where you need a lot of force to do it, and bend this bit as far as you can in this direction. And while it's in here, bend this bit as far as you can in this direction. You'll notice that we're never able to get a perfect bend here, and so what I might end up doing is after I pull this out, squeeze this a little bit, just so it fits in a little better. And if we need to make an adjustment to this after we've got the part all put together, that's totally fine. But you should be good as long as you can now fit the bit, the round part in here. The 90-degree short bit should come out this side, and the longer bit should be able to fit in here. And you'll see that mine is a little too wide for this, so I got to squeeze it up a little bit more. All right. And if you need to move it a little bit to get it to fit in, go for it. I'm seeing that my bend here needs to be tighter, so I'm going to tighten that up. And then unbend this a little bit to fit. All right, there we go. And now we're in there. Perfect. All right, from here, so I've got this in, this is the last bend. I'm going to bend up the long part that's hanging off to this 90 degree, and then bend it the rest of the way up to here. And then we'll, by hand, a little, make this a little tighter. Actually, let me move it like that. There we go. Now it fits in just right. And then what you can do is cut off any bit that's hanging off the edge here. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to pull it out and cut it a little tighter to it. But this is as much as you will need. And you'll see that it fits in, should fit in really nice and well in here. And then you are all set. This is, I mean, give it to a refiner. You might be able to get like 5 cents for it. I am hanging on to all the little off bits so that hopefully eventually I might be able to get like $10 for this much copper. But Anyway, now we've got one. Let's get the other. So remember, with this one, we shoved the short end over the whole side. So we'll keep that in mind. I'm going to flip this over. And then we are going to cut our thing again. Notice that for the last one, 9 inches gave us a little bit of extra wiggle room. I'm still going to go 9 inches. Just because I think that'll give us a little more wiggle room. And that's good to have. And then I'm going to set this aside. This is for a different part. All right, I've got my wire. Let's strip it. And this would be a good bit for me to speed up, or if you've got a better wire stripper than me, which this is not a high quality wire stripper. There are some in our school's robotics lab that would make short work of this, but I can't afford those. So I'm left doing this with this guy. Although this one seems to be going a lot smoother than the first one did. I think it's because the wire's straighter. Although it came from the same wire. This shouldn't be any straighter than the other. Whatever. There we go. Right, and you'll you'll notice, at least on your end, you may notice this. On my end, you probably can't see it because of the camera, but these pieces of insulation are absolutely flying as I'm getting them off because I'm pulling really hard. But, so some of them are somewhere on the floor, and I'll clean them up later. But you should be cleaning these as you go. Notice that there's no foil left on my little desk here. And that's for a reason, because we'll make a mess, and these messes take forever to clean up if you don't do them as you go. Okay, I noticed that this is not the most perfectly straight wire, so I'm going to run it through my wire straightener. The small one didn't really do much good. The long one might, though. Hey, it's a little straighter. Should be straight enough. See if I can fit it through the smaller one. Probably not. Oh, I'll have to adjust the jig so that that works. All right, now that we're using the other side of this. Now I've got the sharp turn on the right side. I'm going to fit my wire in here. Notice it's all the way up to the butt, and then I'm going to bend it, and then bend it again. And I'm noticing that it's pulling this a little bit, and that's okay. I am going to try to avoid that as much as I can, but it's okay if I do. And I may need to tighten this turn up a little bit by hand, but otherwise it'll be pretty good. All right, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. All right, short end this time is not going through the whole side. Threading this in, lining it up. Oh, this one's going so much better. And then I'm going to push down on this to get it the rest of the way through. Okay. All right, now I'm going to set my cap in the top here. Keep in mind, if you do the opposite, where you did the short side on the whole side first, just flip this over and do that one. You'll know you were wrong, or you're on the wrong side, if the long side is going to be making that 90-degree turn. You want the short side to take the 90-degree turn. I flipped over, everything's in there flush. I'm going to use, well, I guess it sticks out a little farther. I can use my fingers for this one. Nope, never mind. I'm going to use my pliers, push it a little bit, and then for this top bit, I'm going to go around this turn here. I'm going to overshoot it a little bit. I'm going to lift this up a little bit and go a little farther just to make that turn sharper. But I do know I'm going to have to adjust that in a second because I did the first time. Go. Be careful when you're doing something like this, because your players, especially if you don't have very good players, like these are not great players, and you may have noticed when I did this the first time, they were starting to do this. They have the tendency to slip off like this, and if your thumbs or fingers are like between anything, you're going to pinch them. Be super careful with that, because it's not going to kill you, but it's definitely going to hurt. All right, now that I've got this turn, I'm going to adjust my turn so that it actually fits. Ooh, we're actually pretty close as it is, although I do need to make that a little tighter. There we go. That will hopefully work. And I think we are pretty good. There we go. Now one last turn. Twist up. Twist up. going to go a little farther so that this can actually be pretty close to 90 degrees, or sorry, parallel. And then I'm going to cut off the end bit again. And then again, going to hang on to that. With the thinner wire, it's not super worth it to hang on to the edge bits that you cut off, but with the thicker wire, I mean, that's a decent amount of copper. All right, you should see that these mirror each other very well, and this will be really useful for us later on.